Welcome to Literally Snapshots. Today, we're diving into one of the most influential self-help books of all time, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. For nearly a century, this book has been helping people build better relationships, communicate effectively, and become more successful in their personal and professional lives. Let's explore Carnegie's timeless wisdom in this in-depth review. Carnegie begins with 3 fundamental techniques for handling people. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest and sincere appreciation. These techniques form the foundation of positive and effective human interactions. Carnegie argues that criticism is futile because it puts the other person on the defensive and usually makes them strive to justify themselves. Instead of criticizing, try to understand why they acted the way they did. Understanding breeds empathy and patience. Imagine your colleagues make a mistake at work. Instead of criticizing them, you might say, "I can see you put a lot of effort into this. Maybe there's a way we can improve it together." This approach avoids blame and opens the door for collaboration. To give sincere appreciation, Carnegie suggests being specific. Instead of a generic "good job," say, "I really appreciate how you handled that challenging client today. It made a big difference to our team." This shows that you notice and value their efforts. Next, Carnegie presents 6 ways to make people like you. Become genuinely interested in other people. Smile. Remember that a person's name is the sweetest sound in any language. Be a good listener. Talk in terms of the other person's interests and make the other person feel important. And do it sincerely. Carnegie emphasizes that these are not manipulative tricks, but sincere methods to build genuine connections. For example, showing genuine interest in others involves asking questions about their lives, listening attentively, and remembering details they've shared. When you meet someone new, instead of immediately talking about yourself, ask about their hobbies or work. If they mention a recent trip, follow up later by asking how it went. This shows that you're genuinely interested in them. Smiling might seem simple, but it has a profound impact on social interactions. A warm smile conveys friendliness, openness, and positivity, which makes others more comfortable around you. Remembering and using a person's name is a powerful tool. Carnegie explains that a person's name is to them the sweetest and most important sound in any language. It shows respect and attention to detail. In today's world, where we often interact with many people, remembering someone's name can be challenging, but it's worth the effort. Addressing someone by their name makes the interaction personal and memorable. If you're at a networking event, instead of just exchanging business cards, make a point to remember the names of the people you meet. Later, when you follow up, use their name in the email or message. This small gesture can set you apart and make a lasting impression. One of Carnegie's most emphasized points is being a good listener. He argues that people love to talk about themselves and their interests. By becoming a good listener and encouraging others to talk about themselves, you can win their trust and admiration. Listening isn't just about being quiet while the other person speaks. It's about being actively engaged in what they're saying. This means maintaining eye contact, nodding in agreement, and asking follow-up questions that show you're truly interested. During a conversation, instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, focus entirely on what the other person is saying. If they mention a challenge they're facing, ask them to elaborate and express empathy. This makes them feel heard and understood. Talking in terms of the other person's interests is another key to making people like you. Carnegie teaches that to engage someone, you should focus on topics that matter to them. This shows you respect and value their interests. When you meet someone new, find out what they're passionate about and steer the conversation in that direction. This not only makes that conversation more enjoyable for them, but also positions you as someone who values their perspective. If you're at a dinner party and you discover someone is a big sports fan, ask them about their favorite teams or recent games. If you know a little about the subject, contribute to the conversation by mentioning a recent match or a player, showing that you share their interests. Perhaps the most significant principle Carnegie discusses is making the other person feel important and doing it sincerely. He explains that the desire to feel important is one of the deepest human needs. When you make someone feel valued, they naturally warm up to you. This doesn't mean flattering or faking it. Instead, find something genuinely admirable about the other person and acknowledge it. Whether it's their work ethic, creativity, or kindness, expressing genuine appreciation makes them feel recognized and valued. In a workplace setting, instead of just giving generic praise like "good job," you could say, "I really admire how you handled that project. It showed great leadership and attention to detail." This specific recognition makes the compliment more meaningful. Moving on to how to win people to your way of thinking. Carnegie offers principles that avoid conflict and foster cooperation. These include showing respect for the other person's opinions, never saying you're wrong, and beginning in a friendly way. Carnegie explains that arguing and telling someone they're wrong only creates resentment. Instead, approach disagreements with an open mind and a friendly attitude. By respecting their perspective and finding common ground, you can guide the conversation towards your point of view. If you disagree with someone in a meeting, instead of outright saying, "I think you're wrong," you might say, "I see your point and I appreciate your perspective. I wonder if we could also consider this other approach. It might help us achieve our goals more effectively." This shows respect while subtly steering the conversation. Starting a conversation in a friendly way might be as simple as beginning with a compliment or a positive comment before addressing a more serious topic. For instance, "I really admire the effort you've put into this project. There's one area I'd love to discuss further. Perhaps we can find a way to improve it together." Carnegie also emphasizes the importance of admitting your mistakes quickly and empathetically. When you're wrong, it's far more effective to admit it openly, rather than trying to defend yourself. This approach disarms others and builds trust. Admitting your mistakes shows humility and integrity. It also prevents unnecessary arguments and helps maintain positive relationships. When you take responsibility for your errors, others are more likely to forgive you and move forward. If you make a mistake at work, instead of covering it up or making excuses, you could say, I made a mistake on this project, and I take full responsibility. Here is how I plan to fix it. This not only shows accountability, but also a commitment to making things right. Another crucial principle is letting other person save face. Carnegie explains that even when someone is wrong, it's important to allow them to maintain their dignity. This preserves relationships and avoids unnecessary embarrassment. When you point out someone's mistake in a way that's considerate and tactful, you help them save face. This approach prevents resentment and keeps the interaction positive. Imagine a team member makes a mistake during a presentation. Instead of correcting them publicly, you might wait until after the meeting to discuss it privately, saying something like, "I noticed a small error in your presentation. Perhaps we could revive it together before sharing it more widely." This allows them to correct the mistake without feeling embarrassed in front of others. Carnegie also advises encouraging others to talk about themselves. He explains that people are generally more interested in themselves than in you, so by encouraging them to share their thoughts and experiences, you build rapport and trust. This principle ties back to being a good listener. When you show genuine interest in someone's life or work, they feel valued and are more likely to open up to you. This deepens the connection and strengthens the relationship. If you're networking or meeting someone new, instead of talking about your achievements, ask them about theirs. You might say, "I'd love to hear more about your recent project. It sounds fascinating." This approach shifts the focus to them and makes the conversation more engaging for them. To make your ideas more persuasive, Carnegie suggests dramatizing them. People are more likely to be influenced by ideas that are presented in a vivid, compelling way. Dramatizing your ideas can involve using stories, analogies, or visual aids to make your point more memorable. This approach captures people's attention and makes your ideas stand out. Suppose you're trying to convince your team to adopt a new strategy. Instead of just explaining the benefits, you could tell a story about a successful company that used a similar approach, showing how it led to dramatic results. You might also use visuals, like charts or graphs, to illustrate the potential impact. Lastly, Carnegie suggests throwing down a challenge to motivate others. People are more motivated by a challenge than by rewards alone. When you frame a task as a challenge, it taps into their desire for achievement and competition. This principle works especially well in a team setting. By presenting a goal as a challenge, you encourage people to rise to the occasion and push themselves to achieve more. If you're leading a team project, you might say, "I believe we can achieve this goal faster than anyone expects. Who's up for a challenge?" This creates a sense of excitement and competition, motivating the team to work harder. In How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie's timeless principles continue to offer invaluable guidance for building strong relationships, winning people over, and leading effectively. By applying these techniques in your daily interactions, you can create a more positive and influential presence in both your personal and professional life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more book insights that help you improve your life. See you in the next video.